Next on the agenda is Matt Kranich.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak, and I just want to thank Tom for those nice comments. It does mean a lot to hear that. It has been a lot of work recording these meetings and getting them online. And I don't know if your reference to the surveys being online was from the website I do, but that's good to hear. And I guess I want to state too that there's only been one board member that has ever thanked me for the work that I've done on that. And this district has chosen not to record its meetings, while just about every other district I'm aware of, and many in the surrounding communities does. I've taken on that responsibility myself. My comments tonight are about school board transparency and the cost of not being transparent. And the comments related to this issue by Mr. Jensen and Mr. Byro 2 weeks ago during the Personnel and Finance Committee were unfortunate. But I was more than willing after the meeting to discuss this issue of public records costs and transparency. And I was disappointed, Mr. Byro, that you thought it appropriate to walk away instead of having a meaningful conversation. And that decision, Mr. Byro, is just one more act that helps us in this community see what is going on here. It helps us connect the dots and know that open communication and the ability to challenge statements by the board are simply not welcome. And I know that sounds like a blanket statement. That isn't everybody, but at times it feels like everybody, and it's certainly very true for some of you. But that camera over there, that $200 camera, that camera means your words don't just stay in this room anymore. And Mr. Jensen, that camera means that you don't always get the last word. For example, at the October 21st annual meeting, you stated the following, and I quote, you said, "To date, $15,000 in actual money has been spent on lawyer fees and other fees associated with getting Matt information, which is ridiculous," unquote. That's what you said. And then you went on to say, and I quote, "And what kind of information does Matt want? Matt wants things of little use, such as 5 years administrative reviews of the district administrator," unquote. And guess what? The very day after that meeting, a letter came in the mail to me from Mr. York. That letter was in response to one of those ridiculous public records requests I made. Ironically, that letter proved that the WGSD board, under your leadership, has no written or electronic record of evaluating your most important employee, the superintendent. That letter proves that you not only failed to follow state law related to evaluating Mr. Yoke, but more importantly, you violated your own board policy. And I give you credit for admitting that you have done this for years. But I think we all take offense that finding this out only through public records requests could ever be considered ridiculous. Returning to the discussion 2 weeks ago, Mr. Byro commented about how public record requests can put an undue burden on the school district. Mr. Schwartz commented that if the district makes a mistake, they can get a suit for a lot of money. And then Mr. Jensen trumps the whole conversation, saying that some of the requests were trite, and that some of the requests seem like a foolish waste of taxpayer dollars. And Mr. Jensen, since you agreed with me on camera that making a public record request of the make and model of a truck or security camera has little or no cost to the district, I can only help but wonder which of my public record requests you feel are trite and wasteful of taxpayer dollars. Was it the request I just mentioned for the missing evaluations of the superintendent that is considered trite? Or does it cause undue burden on the district? Or is it wasting taxpayer dollars? I hope you realize, Mr. Byro, there is no cost to tell someone that no record exists. Or I wonder, was it the request for the copies of the teacher surveys that is considered trite, or that causes an undue burden on the district, or is wasting taxpayers' dollars? Those surveys tell us a lot about how you choose to run the district, and should have been the center of an open discussion months ago. It certainly felt very good to hear the discussion tonight, and I appreciate the work that's being done on these committees and the questions by board member Mrs. Bland. I wonder, was it the request for the exit interviews that is considered trite, or that causes an undue burden on the district, or is wasting taxpayer dollars? These were the documents where almost all employees that had resigned in the previous months had very few positive things to say about working in this district. Don't forget that I requested that all names be removed or redacted. So while I agree that maybe a phone call to an attorney was a good idea, I would hope this short conversation was not something that they would even charge for. If they did, maybe it's time to look for a different law firm that we can use on a monthly basis. So in summary, the solution to lowering costs and becoming more transparent, I feel, is simple. Start operating more openly, address the issues that impact the learning and teaching environment, and stop running from the concerns that others raise. When you can do that, or when a newly elected board can do that, the cost of transparency will be greatly reduced.
I remind the board members that they're not required to respond. This is citizen input. Does anybody wish to respond in any way? Does anybody else wish to speak as citizen input? Anyone else? And we conclude our citizen input for the evening.